still have an hourglass. So I'll do what every good Windows 3.1 user does, which is Control-Alt-Delete. But I got a new screen this time. The screen says that badapp.exe has caused the system to stop responding. And it gives me a chance to either escape and go back to Windows. I can press Enter and close badapp. Or if I really wanted to reboot my system, I can hit Control-Alt-Del again. So I'll hit Enter, and the system's back, and badapp has been terminated. Let's fire it up again and get a GP fault, and I'll show you another recovery pattern inside Windows 3.1. Uh-oh! That looks uncharacteristically like an unrecoverable application error message. It says, bad app, an error has occurred in your application. You can ignore it and save your work in a new file. This is actually a key feature. We let people try to ignore application errors and get their work saved before we close the application, or we can just close the application. Well, we know this would have required a reboot on Windows 3.0, but here I'll just say close. I see the application error, I close it down, and now I can enter into our Dr. Watson utility, so you can send these to the application vendor or to Microsoft, a log, which I don't type that well, but the log then records what state the system was in, so we can provide feedback to Microsoft and to other application vendors to help them improve their application. In any event, in both of these instances, which covers, I would say, 90+% of all of the application errors that we get today, the system stayed up, there was no need to reboot the computer, we maintained the rest of your work. It works the same way if there's an errant DOS application. Now there are cases we can still get into if you have an errant network driver, but we and Novell are working so closely together, I'm sure that's not going to happen. Okay, let me show you just one other thing. I'm going to bring up, this is a little demonstration application that we've written in Visual Basic that uses the ODBC, Open Database Connectivity Architecture for Windows. This is a set of APIs and service providers that we will build into a future release of Windows. And this application only knows about the ODBC API. It knows nothing about the Oracle NLM for NetWare. It knows nothing specific about SQL Server. It just knows about ODBC. So what I want to do now is from within this application, I'm going to go query the databases. And I'll show you that you can use the same application to the same API running against multiple data sets on a NetWare network from Windows. So first let's go establish some connections. And the first connection I'll establish will be to SQL Server. And we've gone out and connected now to the SQL Server. And now I'll also make a connection to the Oracle server. This is Scott and Tiger. We gave a password on this one. And I'll go out and connect to the Oracle server. Now the single application working through a single programmatic interface with no specific knowledge of either Oracle or SQL Server is connected to the NetWare NLM for Oracle, as well as to OS2 SQL Server on this NetWare network. I'm going to go, there should be a nice end user interface, but for now we're just doing the demo app. What I'll do here is I'll do a select on sales data. So I'll edit the query, and then we'll just go press the query button. The first query, the current connection is to the SQL Server, and I'll go execute this query. And so we're going off, we're talking to the ODBC API, we bring back data out of the database into this application. But all of a sudden I say, oh shoot, the data I really need isn't stored there. The data I need is actually from a different region, and all of that information is stored up on the Oracle NLM for NetWare. So instead, I'll switch connections to the Oracle NLM for NetWare, and I'll reissue the query. And now we'll go out and we'll talk to the Oracle NLM. All of the code here runs on Windows 3.1 and just talks to those systems. So I went out to the Oracle NLM, and I got back the same query results, same application, same everything. The only thing that was different is we were talking through the service provider for Oracle versus the service provider for OS2 SQL Server. Now, we want to generalize. This capability in the future will be built into Windows for data access. As we add things like messaging, application integration across the network features to Windows, we'll have the same architecture, which permits you to hook up to third-party backends, if you will, on the network. So you can live in the same user interface, same application environment, and talk to different application backends. If I could have the slides, please, that's the end of the 3.1 demo. Two things I want to emphasize before we take some questions. First of all, this stuff works today. People are able to use Windows 3 very successfully, and Windows 3.1, I think, even more successfully on networks. This is a list of just some customers, whether it's for office automation or mission-critical applications, who are using Windows on NetWare and other networks. Telecom Australia, office automation customer, Windows applications, NetWare. Bankers Trust actually has NetWare, SQL Server from Microsoft, Windows applications, and our own consulting group helped them create the applications on NetWare using SQL Server and Windows. Baxter Healthcare, they have a hospital supply distribution system built with Windows SQL Server on a non-NetWare network, but it still all works very, very nicely. And here are just a number of cases on how people are actually building mission-critical solutions today around Windows on networks. Now, we need to do a lot more to work closely with you. It's very important, particularly as we launch Windows 3.1, that we have close relationship. If you're a Windows developer, we do have a forum up on CompuServe. You just type go MSWin32 if you want to communicate with us, share your views, share your ideas. If you don't like to use CompuServe, you don't have an account, but you have a question, you want more information, this is Brad Struss. I've given you his email account on the internet. He's not sure what to expect, but I volunteered his email account. And please send him a piece of mail, give your name, and we'll get you into our developer database. We are having a reception over at the Red Lion tonight. There'll be a number of people there, and we'll be doing demonstrations of some of the things you've seen tonight, plus others. The other thing I'd like to encourage the end users amongst you and the support coordinator people amongst you to do is to attend one of the Windows 3.1 technical workshops that we will be conducting around the country over the course of the next 90 days. We are sending an upgrade mailing to all current Windows 3 owners. In that upgrade mailing, there's a phone number you can call to come to a 4-hour technical workshop on supporting Windows that includes sections on supporting Windows on NetWare networks. And so I encourage you to call and come to one of those. They are filling up very quickly in the week or two since we put the mailing out. If you're having a hard time getting in, I'll also offer, just send a piece of mail to Brad at the internet address, and we'll figure out how to make sure that we are able to get you into one of the technical workshops. We're doing them in about 70 cities around the country, so there ought to be one near most of you, although I won't promise all of you since I don't know where you're all from. It's been my pleasure to have a chance to chat with you today about Windows. It's been a pleasure to have Novell extend this invitation. The level of cooperation between our two companies has been rising dramatically over the course of the last year. I think that's good for us, I think that's good for you, and I think it's good for our collective users. So thank you for your time and attention this morning.